back. Did you miss me? Welcome to the Time Treadmill. I'm Ron, and these are my sweaty thoughts about Doctor Who. You know, when I started this ridiculous project 3 years ago, it was just sort of a creative way to maybe lose a little weight and get a little bit more healthy. And then when I started the video project a couple months ago, it was just a way to reinforce that, keep going, stretch some new skills. I never imagined it, but now I suspect this project may be a daily documentation of my slow descent into madness at the fall of civilization. So, there's that. I spent the last week in the state of Washington, over in Spokane, so far, far away from the epicenter of the COVID-19 outbreak, but close enough to be a little bit scary. And what's really scary is that outbreak is not limited to a couple of areas. It's nationwide, every state in the country, basically every country in the world. And here I am now. I made it back home last night, and I have no intention of leaving this house aside from essential trips for groceries and such for the foreseeable future. So this, me talking to you, this is my communication with the outside world. Hey, I really hope that I'm being overly paranoid. That would be a delightful turn of events. Anyway, on to Doctor Who. Today I started in with the animated reconstruction of the Macra Terror, and it's fantastic. It's really well done. If you're not familiar with this story, this is a completely lost story, and it is your classic Second Doctor base under siege story. The interesting thing here is that the base itself doesn't know it's under siege. On the surface, everything is happy and productive in this colony, aside from one crazy guy who believes there are things crawling around at night. But other than that, everybody is happy, healthy, cheerful, doing their part to support the colony. Except, of course, there really are things crawling about in the night. On my first time through the Time Treadmill, I watched a loose cannon reconstruction of this story and really liked it. It's one that you gotta be kind of skeptical of when you hear the summary. I mean, giant sentient crabs terrorizing a base. It just sounds a little wobbly. But this is actually a chillingly written, beautiful story. It's just so well done. Because everyone on the base is under hypnotic control. Yes, they're all happy and healthy. They just have no free will. And of course, in comes the Doctor like a wrecking ball to upset the apple cart. To me, there are two great strengths to this animated reconstruction so far. First of all, the audio quality is spectacular. As I've said before, we do have existing audio of every single episode of Doctor Who ever broadcast, thanks to a couple of fans in various locations around the world that recorded the episodes on audio tape, and in one case wired directly to reel from his television. That's a dude after my own heart. I'm just a brilliant kid at the time. But even though we have existing audio, as you can imagine, the quality of broadcast quality audio in 1966, 1967 was not especially great. And so the audio we have tends to have quite a bit of artifacts, a lot of popping, a lot of noise, tends to be really muddy. And one of the great things about these restorations is that audio engineers are able to go in and really remaster this audio and make it sound broadcast quality to today's standard, and they just do a spectacular job. This restoration just sounds amazing, and I love it. The other great thing about this restoration is the Macra themselves, the giant crabs. I will dig up a picture of what the Macra looked like on screen when the show was broadcast. Needless to say, it was, not great. It was paper mache on a Volkswagen Beetle kind of special effects. There was no such thing as CGI at that time, of course. And even any kind of Ray Harryhausen style stop motion animation was well beyond the means of the BBC at the time. And so, similar to the Web Planet, the concept is fantastic, but the execution with the budget available at the time was not all that great. It's exactly the kind of papier-mâché monsters that classic Doctor Who is famous for. With the animated reconstruction, they have no such limitations. So when the first Macra appears at the very end of the first episode, it looks amazing and scary and subtle and And then in the second episode, when there are multiple on screen at one time surrounding Ben and Polly, they just look fantastic. And when one picks up Polly by the ankle, it is chilling. It's just so well done. So much better than the original broadcast. And on that level, I am really grateful that it's done this way. To my mind, it serves the actual true intent of the original storytellers of this episode, and I'm sure they would be very happy with the execution. I do have one other story that comes to mind related to this, but I'm going to hold that off until tomorrow for the second half of the story, so I'm going to call it a day. I am totally winded. I am so out of shape after being a week off the treadmill. So that's it for me today. I will talk to you tomorrow for the second half of the Macra Terror.